Bye!
Hey everyone. So, this isn't going to be our usual content, but I felt compelled to make a video because I feel that it's pretty relevant to a lot of people in girl world right now. And I believe that I may be able to hopefully help at least one person who may not have known this information previously. Before getting to that, though, I do want to start off with talking a bit about Beck and their latest update, posted 3 hours ago as of recording this. So I'm just going to read that here. So the latest community post says, I wanted to come on here and let everyone know how thankful I am for the support I've been given all throughout this year. It's been one of the hardest of my life, and you guys have made sure that I haven't felt alone. I've had so many people tell me that they're thinking of me or praying or shared their own stories similar to mine, and it's been so helpful. My depression was getting so bad after my triple bypass. With everyone's support, along with talking to my doctors, my mental health is doing so much better. It's still an uphill battle, and I have a long way to go, but I've gotten through so much this year. It started with my thyroid cancer, the thyroidectomy, and lymph node removal, then the tumor in my arm getting removed, the heart attack, going into anaphylactic shock during an echo, my CABG, the syncope episode I had soon after, then the infection and multiple surgeries to clean out the incision. You guys were there for me through it all, and I can't thank you enough. Yesterday, I saw my surgeon and had my wound vac dressing changed. They took all my stitches out from under the dressing, and I got to see how small the incision is now. It's healing so much better than before. There's just a small hole left. I'll go in at the beginning of next week to have it looked at by a plastic surgeon. They plan on getting a skin graft to finally close it for good. I was really hoping that they'd be able to get my lung nodule biopsy done at the same time, but I've got that scheduled for mid-November, so it looks like it'll be 2 separate hospital stays. I'm anxious for answers, but trying to stay hopeful that I'll be okay no matter what it turns out to be. The doctor said I'll be staying home from work until at least the end of November when I've healed from those surgeries. It's pretty scary too. I let my work know and they haven't answered me. I know my FMLA has run out and they wanted me back by now, but it's just not possible. I also want to thank everyone who has helped by sending any amount at all to help me through this. It means so much to me, and it's kept me from losing my home and helped me pay for medicine I've needed and Ubers back and forth to the surgeon since I've still not been able to drive or walk far. I'll update everyone again when I can, and I hope you're all having a great spooky season. At the bottom of that post, Beck also listed different handles for how to help them, like Venmo and PayPal. So, 2 of them are listed in that screenshot. And you can go to Beck's community post for some engagement. And if you are so inclined to help, that's how you can do so. We've said it a few times before, but I think it's worth bringing up again that I think it's valid to criticize Beck for the things that they've said and done in the past. Beck has said some pretty troubling and just problematic things, but I think everyone has at some point in their life. And just by the way Beck has been updating us, it's clear that they're suffering and undergoing a significant amount of stress. And since Amberlynn has made no attempt to acknowledge the pain that she's caused Beck, let alone pay them back the money they owe, I think it's worth donating to Beck, especially if you are a huge reaction channel who profited off of the craziness during their relationship. However, that's just my opinion, and I don't think that anyone has to do anything. But that brings me to the main point of this video. For most people in developed civilized countries, it seems almost incomprehensible that someone who's had any one thing that Beck listed in that post would be demanded to come back to work. I mean, Beck talked about a heart attack, a triple bypass, anaphylactic shock after a routine medical exam. But that is the reality of people living in the United States. Women do not get more than 3 months of guaranteed maternity leave. And sometimes women choose not to disclose their pregnancy until their leave paperwork is signed and completed because they're afraid that they're going to get fired before. There are so many topics I wish I could cover. This is something that I'm very passionate about, especially as a Middle Eastern woman. And snarky number one is the same as me. But for brevity, I'm going to keep this as educational and objective as possible, and maybe even a little motivational. So, I want to take this time to talk about some resources available to you should you ever find yourself in a situation similar to Beck's. As November 1st approaches us in the United States with no end to the government shutdown in sight, I think it's important to use whatever platform we have to briefly bring awareness to a couple of resources that you or a loved one could utilize if you've been affected by the shutdown or think you will be. So, the first resource I want to talk about is food pantries, food banks, free food locations. You probably know this, that you can go on Google and just type food pantries or food banks near me. You can also use websites like foodpantries.org. You could even use your state's website to find food banks near you, or any kinds of locations that are distributing food, household items like cleaning products, baby products. You can also reach out to local churches, mosques or masjids, synagogues, Buddhist temples to see if they have assistance. Speaking from experience, I know that masjids or mosques will typically have food on Fridays, usually like after the Friday prayer. If it's not free, it's at a reduced cost. But you can also literally just find someone and tell them your situation. And you don't have to be Muslim. Even as a woman, you don't have to go wearing a hijab. And you can say, hey, is there an imam here, like a spiritual leader? And you can tell them, I'm having this, maybe you live right down the street from the masjid that's the closest location to you, and you tell them your situation. They will help you. They do not care if you are not Muslim. Muslims are taught one of the pillars of our religion is charity. And if we are in a position that we can give charity, we should do it. So don't be afraid. And if for some reason you feel like you're not ready, reach out to a Muslim friend or see if there's a local church that can help you. You are entitled to having help. I've also connected with many mutual aid groups using Instagram. So I'll just type in like my location and then food bank or mutual aid. And then I see what kind of pages that page is following. And it really is just a rabbit hole. And it really is amazing to see how much is going on even in your own backyard. Because these are small groups. It's literally people like you and me who go to work and come home, make dinner, get in bed. And these people are still organizing and doing their best to help people who are in need. They're really easy to participate in. And the best part is that if you go as a volunteer and not as someone in need, there is no additional pressure or demand from you. You are a volunteer. You are not obligated to do anything. You can stop at any time. Additionally, if you are a university student, your university should have a food pantry. All you're going to need is a valid student ID. Make sure that you look them up and you get your money's worth because you pay a lot of tuition if you're in the USA. The second thing I wanted to touch upon is FMLA. So, this is if you are currently still employed. The FMLA, or Family and Medical Leave Act, entitles eligible employees of covered employers to take unpaid job protected leave for specific reasons like medical or emergency or otherwise. You can contact the HR department or read through your contract to kind of learn more about what's specific to you. But what's important to know is that even with the shutdown, this service is still available to you. So these are typically handled by your employer. So you have the state level and federal level. So while this is a federal thing, it is in the hands of the state. So if you are someone who needs FMLA, if you are in Beck's position and you have a medical emergency and you need to take weeks off, but you're looking at all these layoffs, it is your right as long as you have a covered employer. So just make sure. And I believe for the most part, people do, but I don't have much experience in any other industry except healthcare. So I am speaking from a healthcare perspective, but please look into it and know your rights as an employee. The same goes for unemployment. As many people are facing layoffs at unprecedented rates, we're starting to see Amazon and these huge companies lay off thousands of people. Unemployment is done through the state, so don't fret if you think that you're going to end up needing to file for unemployment, because it is another entitlement you have as an employee. If you need more information about it, again, in specific to your state, just look up the jobs and unemployment website specific for your state. On these websites, they usually have links that also help people who need health care, which is most of us, prescriptions, and financial assistance. Please note that as the demand increases, so will the wait times. So if you think that you don't have enough buffer before your situation becomes urgent, please reach out to mutual aid groups who may be able to crowdfund for you. Let your friends and family know. Don't try to get through it alone. There is an element of shame, like maybe you feel like you're a burden or you're a disappointment or you've been fired again and it's traumatizing. And that maybe, you're just bad at your job. But that's not true. There's no shame in asking for help. No matter what insidious or nefarious comments that you may be reading online stating otherwise, you and your health matter. It does suck to have to be your own advocate sometimes, and I know that not everybody has the luxury of friends or family who they can rely on, but that's the purpose of this video. We need to start building those connections with the people around us, because it is very hard to watch someone right next to you suffering. And even if you don't have a lot to give, for the most part, people watching someone suffer will try to help. We get jaded seeing all these homeless people on the street and thinking, oh, this is a moral failure. And I'm not going to get too much into that. I'm trying to keep this objective. The point is, you are not a failure if for some reason you are laid off or fired. Please seek help. These are very incredible, life-changing events. We are experiencing unprecedented times. Please know your rights as an employee and know what services are still available to you even with a government shutdown. Because again, you and your health and your access to health care and all of your prescriptions, and making sure that you can stay paying your rent on time, all of that is important. Lastly, I wanted to talk about being kind to one another and leaning into your community for support during trying times. Girl World is a very silly, judgmental place where we congregate and gawk at some of the most despicable humans we've ever seen online. But most people are normal, everyday human beings who deserve kindness, patience, and empathy. Regardless of your political leanings, regardless of your personal beliefs, I think we can all relate to one another in our desire for peace, prosperity, and dignity. If you're able to, you should try to invest your time, money, or skills in giving back to your community through volunteering with, your county, with the state, with mutual aid. Our communities are only as strong as our weakest member. And it is with this compassion and regard for one another that we will actually be able to see through the most difficult times. Remember to be considerate towards one another, because everything seems horrible right now. I mean, it feels bleak. Sometimes I don't even want to look at my phone. Sometimes I can barely listen to some of my favorite streamers because I'm fed up. But we have to keep going because life goes on, and we have to make sure that we are fed, that we are well rested, and that we are safe. And just try to remember that you really don't know what someone is going through if they don't tell you. So just because people look like they're okay, try to check in on one another. And if you feel that you're reaching a point that you need help, please reach out. There are tons of great people, I'm sure, around you. I'm sure in your neighborhood, in your town, in your village, whatever. I think it's more important now than ever to try to introduce yourself to your neighbors because things are getting really bad and isolating yourself doesn't really help. I know it probably sounds really rich coming from me because I'm really mean and I'm kind of proud that I'm mean, but I'm mean to people that deserve it because you know what? Two things can be true at once, guys. People can be multifaceted. So I know that I'm mean, but I can also understand when people are going through hardship and when being nice is the appropriate thing to do. I've also never met anyone like Amber or Chantal in my life, and I worked in psychiatric care. So that says a lot about the appeal and the morbid curiosity. But anyway, we do try to keep it light and silly on this channel because it's just a thing that we do in our free time and like, just to decompress, just to talk with other people about how absurd the girls are and like what's going on in girl world. But the reality is that we're two women in the United States who are Swana and Latin, and we're both deeply affected, by what's going on. And we're both members of our communities doing different things. And even though we have a very tiny audience on YouTube, I think it's honestly, it goes against everything we believe in if we don't try to use this platform to spread a message that we both really believe in. And with that said, Snarky number one isn't even here right now because she's so busy. I mean, she does way more than I could ever do. Props to her, seriously. You never know if she's in your community right now helping. But with all of that being said, I want to thank you all for your continued support of our channel. We're slowly getting up there, and I really look forward to, talking to you guys in the comments. It's been so fun. But yeah, thank you so much for your continued support, and we hope to catch you this Sunday for our usual Sunday snark. Stay safe and be well. Bye!